And we all know how it goes from there. San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Superchargers, Church. Had to do it. Had to pay the respects to San Diego. As you know, our beloved Chargers moved to Los Angeles this offseason. After, a little over 50 years in San Diego. I myself, remember following the Chargers starting when they were in San Diego. Needless to say, respect to all of you San Diego fans out there that are still going to be diehard fans with them coming to Los Angeles. That is a true fan there, as we say. And, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Charger Dave. I have a lot of you on Facebook. Thank you for accepting those requests. And this here is the first of what is hopefully many, many, many more podcasts to come in regards to our beloved Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, I should say. It sounds kind of weird, but it's good thing is they're still in California. Again, still in SoCal. They're still a driving distance away from your favorite team, which kind of puts things in perspective. So to all you fans out there in San Diego that are still a little bummed out about the move, I have a feeling once you guys start to drive down here and you realize that it's not going to take you much more than 2 hours to get down here, sit down in your seat with the cold beer and hot dog, and you see the old familiar uniform and all the familiar players that we're oh so well accustomed to, Phillip Rivers and company, Joey Bosa, I have a feeling people are going to start to warm up to their old team and re-embrace them, if you will. So I look forward to that. I look forward to seeing a lot of you fans out in the games this year. Out in the StubHub, Carson, California. So this podcast is going to be in regards to the much anticipated schedule release that was just released yesterday, and going to be going over the games here, all 16 games. Not really going to touch on the preseason, I'll leave that out, but I'll going to run down all 16 games here and give you guys a little bit of a forecast. The next podcast is going to be a little bit more in detail as to my predictions, what I feel, how well I feel like Chargers are going to do this year in terms of record, wins and losses. I'll go through each game a little bit more in detail. But as for this first podcast, it was more so to introduce myself, Charger Dave, and to break the ice with you guys. Very brand new to podcasting, so excuse me if you are familiar with podcasts and you notice a lot of errors. Please feel free to leave comments, that sort of thing, and I'd much appreciate it. I definitely want to fine-tune this thing over the coming podcast here so that you guys get a refined product. But without much further ado, let's get right into it, and we can go over here and start running down this schedule that I'm sure all of you have seen. I actually like it. I like it. It's 8 games and then a break right in the middle with week 9, and then 8 more games right before the playoffs. And yes, I said it. So, a little spoiler alert there. I do believe the Chargers are going to make the playoffs. So again, much more of that in the second podcast. So I'll try to stick to the format as much as possible here and start running down this the schedule. So as you know, starting the opening week, the NFL season, we have the much anticipated Monday Night Football game against our rivals, the Denver Broncos. And of course, as you know, Denver basically has no quarterback. They have a difficult quarterback situation going on over there. It is going to be an away game, so it is going to be played in Denver. It's going to be a nighttime game. And, sure, both teams will be a little rusty. Yes, everybody knows they have a very great defense, one of the top in the league, the secondary especially. But, what's really going on with that quarterback situation? Are they going to draft a quarterback? I don't know. But anytime you have a major weakness like that, such as the quarterback position, you got Trevor Siemian, you got Paxton Lynch, neither of which really worked wonders for Denver last year. They relied heavily on their defense. And for that reason, I think it's very likely that we'll see a W in Denver week 1. Moving on to game 2, we have the Chargers at home opening the very first game in Los Angeles in terms of regular season, and we'll be hosting the Miami Dolphins, of all teams. The Dolphins are an interesting team. They squeaked into the playoffs at the end of last year. They have what seems to be a newly born star in Jay Ajayi at the running back position. Rushed for over 200 yards in 3 games last year, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. So kudos to him. As far as the Dolphins, of course, last year we had a loss. We lost to the Dolphins last year, 31-24. Kiko Alonso had a pick 6 in that game, and it, of course, something we don't want to remember. So that's going to be a revenge game for us. That game there against the Dolphins. Week 3, which is September 24th. Will be an afternoon game at StubHub, and we will be hosting our rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs, to kind of christen them to LA and basically show them who's boss. Jamal Charles no longer with the Chiefs, as you know. The Tari Poe, sorry, couldn't get that out. Left and went to the Atlanta Falcons. Kind of puts a hole in their defense a little bit. Chiefs also have a pretty awesome defense, as we know. But, it is going to be a home game. So, I'm sure we're going to be loud at StubHub, and we're going to give the Chiefs some problems. And so, that'll be an interesting situation. Moving on to week 4, we're going to have 3 straight home games. We're going to wrap up that 3-game stint against the Philadelphia Eagles, who we haven't played since 2013. Of course, the Eagles, as you know, drafted Carson Wentz, who did actually pretty decent last year. He didn't have a spectacular season by any stretch of the imagination, but he showed a lot of promise. And something that the Eagles are definitely, proud of and developing in Carson Wentz. But, they also have a big hole, and that is their running back situation. They have 2 former Chargers in Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles, both of which are aging, and I think they definitely have some problems at the position, and definitely a very winnable game for us there. Moving on to week 5, we're going on the road for 2 weeks straight And we're going to start that road trip with the New York Giants in New York to face the infamous Eli Manning, someone who, of course, as you know, didn't want to join the San Diego Chargers back when he was drafted, 2004. But, you know, I feel like we ended up with the better end of the deal with Phillip Rivers. Yes, Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a future Hall of Famer, great quarterback. But, you know, he had 2 amazing plays that won him 2 Super Bowl rings, and that's something that has to be taken into account. 2 miracle plays, if you will. So, that's going to be in New York. That's going to be a pretty tough game for us, but, you know, the Giants do have defensive issues. So, with our high-powered offense, that's going to make for a very interesting game there in New York. Week 6, we're going to be flying coast to coast from New York to Oakland to go face the Raiders, the newly announced Las Vegas Raiders, but of course they're going to be in Oakland for the next couple of years. Our rivals again, and of course with the Oakland Raiders, they have a running back problem also, with, you know, a lot of the speculation more recently talking about, you know, Marshawn Lynch. Are they going to sign Beast Mode? Are they not going to sign Beast Mode? You know, that sort of thing. Of course, they're running back up and left in the offseason. So, you know, again, not that they're not a great team, because you got to give credit where credit is due. But, you know, we have to look at specifics, and we have to look at the situation for what it is. And the Raiders definitely have a running back issue. Of course, they have wide receivers. Of course, they have a good quarterback. But who are you going to hand the ball off to? I don't think you can win very many games without a running back. So that's going to be the Oakland game in week number 6. Week number 7, we're going to come back home and play host to our another rival, the Denver Broncos, who we played earlier in the season. And that now is going to be a home game at StubHub Center. And that would be, I feel like, a lot more interesting of a game than week 1 is going to be. I only say that because they don't have a quarterback as of now. And unless they sign somebody or draft somebody who ends up being amazing, then we obviously will have some problems come week 7. But if nothing else happens, then Denver is going to be the one with a major problem at that time. So moving over to week 8, right before the bye, we are going to fly to Gillette Stadium in New England to face what I think is going to be the most difficult game of the season, and then Super Bowl winning New England Patriots, facing, of course, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Again, giving credit where credit is due. 5 Super Bowl rings, to say the least. But, you know, if the core of their team stays intact and they get a healthy Gronk back, who wasn't even in the Super Bowl, that I'm actually happy that we're playing New England in New England, because that's going to be the best measuring stick as to how good of a team we are or not. Of course, if you want to be the best, you got to play the best, you got to beat the best. And right now, the Patriots are the best team in the NFL. The reigning defending champs. And, you know, if you want to be the champ, you have to be able to dethrone the champs. And so, week 8, we are going to face the reigning Super Bowl champs. A game that I feel like next to the Thanksgiving Day is probably going to be the biggest game of our season. After that, we're going to have a much needed bye week. Gets everybody rested up and healed from their injuries and you name it, right in the middle of the season. And then for week 9, our 9th game of the year, we're going to fly to Jacksonville to face a very challenged Jacksonville Jaguars team. As you guys remember, Blake Bortles 2 seasons ago had an amazing season, launching the ball all over the place. And last year was the complete opposite. He tanked and had a horrible season, as did Allen Robinson. And, again, they don't have a running back. I don't think Chris Ivory worked out for them. So, they another team. It seems like we're facing a lot of teams that either have a quarterback problem or a running back problem or both. And as of right now, Jacksonville is a team that has both problems. Horrible running back situation, horrible quarterback situation. So that's a very favorable matchup for us. In our 9th game of the year. And then we're going to fly home after that, our 10th game of the year. And we are going to face the Buffalo Bills at StubHub Center. A team that's been 500, I guess, for the last couple years, or around thereabouts. Not a great team, but not a horrible team at the same time. Pretty average team, I would say. Tyrod Taylor seems like he's hit or miss. He could have a really amazing week where he does great, or he could have a horrible season and throw 5 interceptions. And then they have LaShawn McCoy, who last year I sort of doubted was going to do any damage, and he actually proved me wrong. He had a really amazing season last year, so no longer going to doubt LaShawn McCoy. Of course, future Hall of Famer is one of the greatest of all time to ever do it at the position. But can they keep their wide receiver core healthy? Can they play good defense? We don't know. Another favorable matchup for us being that we're going to be at home that week. And then we land on Thanksgiving Day. For our 11th game of the season, we have the much esteemed Turkey Bowl. We're going to be facing the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. And, that's going to be probably, in my opinion, next to the Patriot game. Or you could even say they're a tie. I'll give you that. They're both huge games. They're both going to be highly anticipated, highly watched games. And we are going to be facing the best offensive line that the NFL has to offer. And it's going to be on us to show what we can do yet again, facing a team like the Dallas Cowboys. So going back to where we left off with the Dallas Cowboy Thanksgiving Day game. Of course, we mentioned we're going to be playing in Dallas on that game. You have 2 heavy hitters, 2 rookies that did extremely well last year, and Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, along with that monstrous offensive line. Like I said, that's going to be a tough game for us, folks. But at the same time, between that game that's in Dallas and the New England game that's in New England, those 2 games I feel like are definitely going to define our season. And I can't wait. I can't wait for either game. I think it'll be great. I think we'll win at least one of those games. Which one it's going to be, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. The 12th game of the season is another revenge game against the Cleveland Browns. Of course, as you know, we lost. We were the only team that the Cleveland Browns beat last year. Kind of were the brunt of a lot of jokes last year because of that. But you know, it's the NFL. You know, any given Sunday, anybody. These are pro teams. You know, I wasn't really surprised when they lost last year to Cleveland. They were playing in Cleveland, and they played them towards the end of the season, where I want to say they were 0-14, and you know, being that far. You know, having that much adversity, being 0-14 at the end of the season when you only have 2 games left to put up a W for your fans, I mean, and they only won by a field goal. So it's like one of those things where, you know, I'm not really too surprised they lost that game. I mean, those guys scrapped and fought to give their fans one measly victory for the season, and just so happened to be against the Chargers. That's how I feel about it. So anyways, we got Cleveland at StubHub in LA for the 12th game of the season. And, you know, if all predictions work out and they select Myles Garrett, who looks like he's going to be a complete beast, you know, we should be able to see him on that game. But definitely a winnable game for us. We're going to be at home. The Browns still have a lot of work to do to even contend at a decent level. So not too worried about that game. 13th game of the season will happen against the Washington Redskins. Another home game in LA. Last time we played the Redskins was back in 2013. And that was a loss back then. So we haven't played them in about 4 years. The Redskins are a pretty interesting team as well. They're kind of one of those right on the fence playoff teams. To me, at least. I think they are a pretty good team in terms of... you know, Kirk Cousins kind of had a breakout season last year, I felt. And then they added Terrell Pryor, you know, from the Cleveland Browns, who's an outstanding wide receiver. Definitely a top 10, top 15 wide receiver in the league. I think he proved that. So he's got some weapons. You know, he's got a couple of running backs that have potential. So... you know, going to be an interesting game, but we are at home for that game. But another very interesting game. After that, we're going to go on another 2-game road trip. And we have the only Saturday game of the season happening on December 16th in Kansas City. That's going to be a night game. 5:30 p.m. kickoff time in Kansas City. You know, the Chiefs are not an easy team to beat by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they have an excellent defense. They have a great coach. They have a often underrated quarterback in Alex Smith. I think he takes a lot more heat than he deserves half the time, but you know, he can definitely throw with the best of them. He may not be the best, but he can definitely contend with the best of them, and I think he's proven that. So that's gonna be a tough game for us. That's gonna be one of our tougher games in the season. You know, it's gonna be that loud. Arrowhead Stadium, you know, that's always gives any team a problem. So that one's tough. After that, we're going to fly to New York again, this time to face the Jets, not the Giants. And this is happening on Christmas Eve. It's going to be our second to last game of the season, and our last road game of the season. The Jets should be easy to take care of. That should be a victory for us. Another team that's battered with quarterback issues. I go back to that analogy that we were talking about earlier, where teams are either banged up at the quarterback or banged up at the running back, and this team definitely, with Ryan Fitzpatrick having crapped out last year, and even when they put Bryce Petty in as a rookie, I mean, that guy had a full plate. They didn't do very well last year, to say the least. Brandon Marshall, their best wide receiver, left the team. So they definitely have a lot of holes, and that should be easy to take care of business up there in New York at that time. Then we come home to LA for the last game of the season and face none else but the Oakland Raiders. So that should be an interesting end to the season there. Last year, Oakland had a pretty good season, made it to the playoffs. Of course, Derek Carr got hurt and he never, got a chance to play the playoffs, but they are a playoff team. Let's be honest. They're a playoff team. Of course, I explained earlier how they have a running back issue. But, a playoff team's a playoff team, and you have to give them that respect. And, if last season was any reflection on how good the Raiders are going to be this year, it's not too hard to imagine that game is going to have some kind of playoff impact, whether it be for the division title or whatever it may be. But that's going to be another one of the more important games of the season. Is the last game of the season. I feel like we'll be right up there with the Raiders, contending for that coveted playoff spot. But it is a home game, and we should be able to take care of business, given that it is going to be a home game. I know LA has a lot of Raider fans, but I have a lot of hope for the turnout that we're going to have this year in LA. And I feel like with the Rams having been there a year before us, I still feel as though by the time this season's over, we are going to see a hell of a lot more Charger fans than Rams fans. That's just how I feel about it. That pretty much sums up and wraps up the 16-game season that we are bound to have this year. Season kicks off on 9/11 of 2017. So definitely a significant day to be kicking off the season and all that stuff. It'll be interesting. It'll be a great season, I think. I think we're in for a lot of excitement. So thanks for tuning in for the very first podcast of the LA Chargers talk on here on Talk Radio. And it's time for me to sign off for the first podcast. And I'll just leave you guys with this last note that in this, like I said, this podcast, we covered the teams that we're going to be facing, when and where, and basically the overall circumstance of each team that we're facing this year. Hopefully you guys gain some sort of an insight in what it is that we're looking at this year. And for the next podcast that I'll be posting here soon with the next coming days, I'm going to go ahead and make predictions of wins and losses, which games I think we will win, which games I think we will lose, the overall record that I think we're going to have at the end of the season, and I'll go a little bit more into depth as to why I believe that we are going to be a playoff team in 2017. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. And like I said, this is Charger Dave signing off. And thank you all for listening. And I'll see you all again in the next one here, podcast number 2. So have a great night, guys, and bolt up.